Welcome to IgoroTech channel. In this video, I will show you how to use data validation in Microsoft Excel. When setting up a workbook for your users, you may often want to control information input into specific cells to make sure all data entries are accurate and consistent. Among other things, you may want to allow only particular data types such as numbers or dates in a cell, or limit numbers to a certain range and text to a given length. You may even want to provide a predefined list of acceptable entries to eliminate possible mistakes. Excel data validation allows you to do all these things. Excel data validation is a feature that restricts or validates user input to a worksheet. Technically, you create a validation rule that controls what kind of data can be entered into a certain cell. To add data validation in Excel, perform the following steps. Select one or more cells to validate, go to the Data tab, click Data Tools group, and click the Data Validation button. You can also open the Data Validation dialog box by pressing Alt-D, then L, with each key pressed separately. On the Settings tab, define the validation criteria according to your needs. When adding a data validation rule in Excel, you can choose one of the predefined settings or specify custom criteria based on your own validation formula. In the criteria, you can supply any of the following: values, type numbers in the criteria boxes. Cell references, make a rule based on a value or formula in another cell. Formulas, allow to express more complex conditions. For example, let's make a rule that restricts users to entering a whole number between 1000 and 9999. With the validation rule configured, either click OK to close the data validation window or switch to another tab to add an input message or an error alert. If you want to display a message that explains to the user what data is allowed in a given cell, open the Input Message tab and do the following. Make sure the Show Input Message when cell is selected box is checked. Enter the title and text of your message into the corresponding fields. Click OK to close the dialog window. To configure a custom error message, go to the Error Alert tab and define the following parameters. Check the Show Error Alert after invalid data is entered box, usually selected by default. In the Style box, select the desired alert type. Stop option, the strictest alert type that prevents users from entering invalid data. Warning option, warns users that the data is invalid, but does not prevent entering it. Information option, the most permissive alert type that only informs users about an invalid data entry. In this example, we'll select Stop option. Enter the title and text of the error message into the corresponding boxes. Then click OK. As soon as the user selects the validated cell, the following message will show up. Entering invalid data, Excel will display the message just created. Note: if you do not type your own message, the default stop alert with the following text will show up: the value you entered in is not valid. A user has restricted values that can be entered into this cell. Let's get some examples. To restrict data entry to a whole number or decimal, select the corresponding item in the Allow box. And then choose one of the following criteria in the data box. Between the two numbers or not between to exclude that range of numbers. Equal to or not equal to the specified number. Greater than or less than the specified number. For example, this is how to create an Excel validation rule that allows any whole number greater than 0. To validate dates, select Date in the Allow box, and then pick an appropriate criteria in the Data box. There are quite a lot of predefined options to choose from. Allow only dates between two dates, equal to, greater than or less than a specific date, and more. Similarly, to validate dates, select Date in the Allow box, and then define the required criteria. For example, to allow only dates between start date in B1 and end date in B2. Then click OK to apply this Excel date validation rule. To allow data entry of a specific length, select Text Length in the Allow box, and choose the validation criteria in accordance with your business logic. For example, to limit the input to 10 characters, follow this rule. Note: The text length option limits the number of characters but not the data type, meaning the rule created will allow both text and numbers under 10 characters or 10 digits respectively. To add a drop-down list of items to a cell or a group of cells, select the target cells and do the following. Open the Data Validation dialog box. On the Settings tab, select List in the Allow box. In the Source box, type the items of your Excel validation list separated by commas. For example, to limit the user input to 3 choices, type male, female, NA. Make sure the in-cell drop-down box is selected in order for the drop-down arrow to appear next to the cell. Note: be careful with the Ignore Blank option, which is selected by default. If you are creating a drop-down list based on a named range that has at least one blank cell, selecting this checkbox allows entering any value in the validated cell. In many situations, it is also true for validation formulas. If a cell referenced in the formula is blank, any value will be allowed in the validated cell. Click OK to apply. To change an Excel validation rule, perform these steps. Select any of the validated cells. Open the Data Validation dialog box. Make the required changes. Select the Apply these changes to all other cells with the same settings checkbox to copy the changes you've made to all other cells with the original validation criteria. Click OK to save the changes. If you've configured data validation for one cell and wish to validate other cells with the same criteria, you don't have to recreate the rule from scratch. To copy the validation rule in Excel, perform these 4 quick steps. Select the cell to which the validation rule applies and press Ctrl+C to copy it. Select other cells you want to validate. To select non-adjacent cells, press and hold the Ctrl key while selecting the cells. Right-click the selection, click Paste Special, and then select the validation option. Click OK. Alternatively, you can press Ctrl+Alt+V, then N. To quickly locate all validated cells in the current worksheet, go to the Home tab, Editing Group, and click Find and select, then Data Validation. This will select all cells that have any data validation rules applied to them. To remove data validation in Excel worksheets, you proceed with these steps. Select the cells with data validation. On the Data tab, click the Data Validation button. On the Settings tab, click the Clear All button, and then click OK. To remove data validation from all cells on the current sheet, use the Find and Select feature to select all of the validated cells. Then click Clear All button on the Settings tab under the Data Validation. To remove a certain data validation rule, select any cell with that rule, open the Data Validation dialog window, check the Apply these changes to all other cells with the same settings box, and then click the Clear All button. This covers working with data validation. If you found this tutorial is helpful, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.